Yesterday I did a bit of a camera test where I mounted 2 GoPros on my bicycle, just figuring out a way to mount the camera. And what I did, I used this broomstick, this red broomstick here, and I attached this to my bicycle frame. And I talked about it at length in that video. The advantage to attaching a broomstick like this to the frame of the bicycle is you can raise the GoPro high enough, you can move it far out in front of the bike so it's aiming back at me and it's nice and wide and gives a nice field of view. And because it's attached to the frame, the camera stays steady. No, like even if you're turning the handlebars of the bike, the camera doesn't move because the frame of the bike is not moving with the handlebars. So it's very convenient. But as I was doing it yesterday, I found the length of the broomstick kind of unwieldy. It was just a bit too much. Plus I had to mount 2 GoPros on the broomstick, one on the end and then one part way down the middle. And I had to do that because I needed the second GoPro aiming forward, but I didn't want the broomstick in the shot. So in order to do that, I had to hang it from the broomstick, hanging upside down. So anyway, but when I looked at the video afterwards, the broomstick was really bouncing up and down a lot more than I thought, and the video looked really strange to me. There's something about the GoPro stabilization that stabilizes the background. So the background was nice and stable, rock steady as it were. But then me in the foreground, I was like vibrating like crazy, just like jumping and bouncing around. It looked really, really weird to me. It was something to do with how the camera was moving because the broomstick was bouncing up and down and the way the GoPro stabilization works. Anyway, there were so many problems with it, so many, I don't know, it just didn't really feel right. So I decided to do something else. And so what I decided to do was mount another shorter broomstick, but put it on the handlebars themselves. And here, I'll show you what I came up with. I don't know how well you can see this, but I have a short broomstick and I have it mounted here on the stem of the handlebars, and I fixed the broomstick in place with 2 hose clamps. So that's extremely solid, gripped really tightly on the base, gripped really tightly here, and then it's resting on top of the handlebars. So that is really as structurally rigid as you can possibly get. So I'm hoping that this broomstick won't bounce nearly as much. And to be honest, it's actually a little bit long right now. It doesn't need to be this long. I can cut it shorter, like right about here. And I think that would be fine. So I'll have to play around with the length of it. And the other advantage is that because it's attached to the handlebars, I can take the second GoPro and mount it directly to the handlebars. And you can see it is sitting forward of the broomstick. So even though the GoPro is attached to the handlebars, the broomstick itself is not in the frame. So you're not going to see the broomstick in the video, which is why it gives me a lot more flexibility. So that's basically what I'm testing right now. Those are all kinds of advantages to this system. The main disadvantage is this. Now when I turn the handlebars, you see the camera moves from side to side. But as far as I can figure out, this movement of the camera is the only disadvantage of this system. Everything else is an advantage. So basically I want to take this rig out for a ride, test it, and I want to see what the video looks like the camera moving from side to side. How distracting is that? And I want to get a sense of just how short I can cut this. As you can see, it's still pretty long. I can probably cut a lot and just have the GoPro like sitting right here. So anyway, that's what's going on right now. I'm going to take this bike out for a ride, shoot some video, and then I'll compare it with what I shot yesterday. I feel pretty good about this system overall. As I said, there are so many advantages to it, but the one disadvantage is a big one. The fact that this is moving from side to side. So anyway, let's see how this works out. So the GoPro is mounted on the broomstick up ahead. I have it on the Tellison quick release mount, which is also kind of handy because I can pop it off really quickly and then hook it onto the neck mount at the same time. And this right now is Super View. And I wanted to try out Super View mainly because of this idea of making the broomstick shorter and shorter. But the shorter I make the mounting broomstick, the closer the GoPro comes to me, and then I need a wider and wider field of view. So I want to start with Super View. And I have a second GoPro mounted on the handlebars, and it is recording facing forward. So let's go for a bike ride, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on just how much the GoPro, the video, waves around as I turn the handlebars. How big a problem is that? So let's see how this works. Got to open the gate here, roll my bike through. So there you can see the GoPro waving all over the place. But of course, yeah, it's real life. Who cares, right? So, okay. I think we're good to go for a test. And here we go. Yeah, the GoPro is still bouncing around quite a bit, despite the fact that this stick, the mounting stick, is very, very rigid. But even there, it looked like it was bouncing around quite a bit. And I could feel it that it's much closer to my face than when it was on the long broomstick. But yeah, everything doesn't have to be perfect, right? So here we go, going over a speed bump. And the GoPro was bouncing, going around the corner. So yeah, I kind of exaggerated the handlebar movement there. It wouldn't normally move quite that much. And I don't have the GoPro perfectly centered, looking backwards quite yet. Oh, yeah. Let's go for a little ride. Just went over a bump there. Making a left turn here. And I'm just riding by my original home here in Port Dickson. That house behind me was where I was staying before. All right, so far so good. I wouldn't mind having the GoPro a little bit lower. Right now it's sort of right in the middle of my view. Local guard dogs. And going uphill like this, you tend to move your handlebars from side to side quite a bit, like I'm doing right now, because you're going slower, trying to keep your balance. So this is my absolute lowest gear. So this would be the most jerky pedaling motion, the slowest I would ever go. And how much does that result in annoying video? Yeah, I sure hope it's acceptable, because as I said, mounting a GoPro like this has a lot of advantages over the other way. So anyway, this is a super view, as I said. I don't think ultra view would ever be useful, so I think super view is as high as I would go. But let's change it to wide and see what wide looks like. Yeah, I just need to make that stick a little bit shorter, but now let's change the field of view. So that is wide right here. And I'll probably do one more test with linear plus horizon leveling. But this is what wide would look like with me sitting on the seat. Camera bouncing around a little bit. Who knows, in a way, maybe having the GoPro mounted to the handlebars is an improvement. Maybe as I go around corners, turn the handlebars and angle the bike. When you're leaning to go around a corner like this, you know, maybe it actually looks better, gives a sense of motion. So here's a pretty big bump. And here comes another one, speed bump. See how the video looks going over those bumps. Another speed bump. Yeah, and I think this is almost as far as I'm going to go. I don't need to do anything today. No errands to run right now. So there you are with wide. Now let's do linear with horizon leveling. All right, this is a linear field of view. Hey, kitty cat. Kitty cat over there. Whoa. There goes the handlebars moving all over the place. Linear with horizon lock. I'm going to do a U-turn here. Pretty severe sort of movement. So if I turn around in a circle, do a U-turn, how does the video look? So far I like this a lot more, just from a cycling experience, handling the bike. Just feels better to have this rig as opposed to the big broomstick. And as I said, I think I can shorten this broomstick by 8 inches maybe, 6 inches, something like that. It would still be okay. And the other advantage I didn't mention yet is that this shorter broomstick fits inside my trailer. So when I take it off the bike, I can put it inside the trailer completely. The full-size broomstick is too long. It won't fit inside. I'm fine, thank you. So it fits entirely, this one fits entirely inside the trailer, so I can put the rain cover over top and and seal it and lock the zipper and everything. But with the big broomstick, it sticks out the end, and that would make it very difficult to put on the cover and things like that. So here we are, linear plus horizon lock. It'll be interesting to see this video, particularly whether am I vibrating relative to the stable background. Going uphill. This is more jerky on the handlebars. As I was talking about the other day, it's not nearly as easy to mount a GoPro on a bicycle as it is on a motorcycle or a scooter for a variety of reasons, but mainly one of geometry. When you're sitting on a motorcycle, your seat is quite a distance below the handlebars, so you're actually sitting up like you're in a chair, and then the handlebars are higher, more forward. And then you can mount a GoPro more easily directly to the handlebars. You don't need a long extension arm like this to do it. Plus, when you're on a motorcycle, you don't get such exaggerated handlebar movements like this. On a motorcycle, you're usually moving faster and your handlebars are more stable. They're always pointing in a stable, steady direction. You make wide sweeping turns, not jerky motions like you do on a bicycle. Yeah, this is cool. And one last thing I'm going to do just for fun is take the GoPro at the end of this broomstick and turn it around so it's facing forward. That's something else I can do with the handlebars more easily than with the big broomstick. Sure hope this works. This would be very nice if I can just commit to this system and never have to worry about it again. It's a simpler system. Okay. Whew. So I'm just gonna pop off the GoPro and spin it around. So now it's facing ahead of me. Like that, okay. And yeah, I'm just gonna go around in a circle here instead of going straight home. Yeah, I still have it on horizon lock, I think. So let's do a U-turn. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And one advantage to this now is I can see the screen of the GoPro. And let's say if I'm shooting a video and I want to talk about things, I can stop the bike right here. I can see where the GoPro is aiming and I can say, look, there's a school bus in Malaysia. Bus school. And then I can do this with the handlebars. I can use the bike to aim the camera. Say, oh, there's another school bus. And there's this school bus, and look over there. So I can basically move within limits. I can use the handlebars to aim the GoPro in different directions. If I'm talking about something or I want to point something out. I think I'm still in horizon lock, right? Linear horizon lock. So let's just go down this hill. Let's go around in a circle and then I'll go back to the house. See how this looks. There's quite a bit of bouncing going on. I can see the GoPro ahead of me bouncing up and down quite a bit. Doing 30 kilometers an hour right now. Got to take a left here. And let's go back up the hill. And as I said, this is going to be a very steep climb. So I'm down in a very low gear. So the handlebars are jerking around quite a bit. See how that looks. None of the dogs have heard me yet. Oh, there you go. Guard dog. Yeah, right now I have two GoPros, both of them aiming forward. Yeah, here I guess I can demonstrate the problem with a bicycle because I have this second GoPro and it's mounted directly onto the handlebars. And if I want to film myself, you kind of have to aim the GoPro straight up into the air because the handlebars are so low. Okay, I've got myself kind of, top of my head is cut off. I think I gotta bend it that way. So, I mean, if you were happy with this perspective, seeing me towering over the GoPro and seeing very little of the world behind me, I mean, if you're happy with that point of view, and a lot of people are, I've seen a lot of YouTubers mount a GoPro on their motorcycle or on their scooter and they have it like this, because this is the easiest way to do it. You don't have to mess around with broomsticks. But that's the view that you get looking straight up at me. And it's not a very pleasant one. Now let me take the other GoPro, the one on the broomstick, turn it back around. And you can kind of see the difference. So this is the GoPro mounted on the handlebars, looking up at me. And this is the GoPro mounted on the broomstick, more at eye level. And in fact, it's so high, I had to aim it downwards. But this is more like parallel, aiming straight at me at eye level. So down here, you can see the perspective of the GoPro mounted on the handlebars. And then up there, you can see the GoPro mounted on the broomstick. And I'm pretty sure that, given a choice, I'd rather have the broomstick point of view. So, heading back to the house now. Kind of a successful mission. I can't think of any way, really, to make this mounting apparatus more stiff, less bouncy. There's really it's as rigid as I can get it, I think. I can't think of any way to make it more rigid. I was going to turn right there, but there were cars. Turning around. All right. Yeah, the only way to make it more rigid would be to have a more rigid stick than this broomstick, but it's pretty rigid. I'm sure I can maybe get some pieces of wood that are a little bit less bendy, but not by much. So that's just about it for this test. And I'm back at my house. There we go. And the other advantage to this handlebar mount, as opposed to the frame mount, is that it's a little bit easier to maneuver through tight spaces. Like I'm trying to get through this narrow hallway and doorway into my room, and I can move the handlebars like this in order to guide it through narrow, tight spaces. All right. I don't know how close I got a view of all this new rig when I was outside. So maybe I can give a second view of what's going on here, maybe a little bit better lighting. But here's the base of the short broomstick, and I have it attached to the handlebar stem with 2 hose clamps. And that's all that's holding it on here. 1 hose clamp at the bottom, 1 just like 2 inches, 3 inches away, and then it's resting against the handlebars here, and there's nothing else holding it in place. And this second GoPro is mounted with a U-bolt clamped onto the handlebars with a ram mount. And the advantage to that is that when this GoPro is pointing forward, it's actually in front of the broomstick, and the broomstick is not in the view. So that makes that very convenient. I can actually remove the broomstick, and then this will still be attached to the handlebars. So it's easier to switch from one to the other. The old method that I had mounted the longer broomstick down here, screwed into this, which I have attached with hose clamps and zip ties and electrical tape, and then it's tied to the frame of the bike with a clamp up here, and it's a much more complex system. This one is much more simple. So hopefully the video looked okay. And if the video looked okay, that's the system I'm going to use. Probably all I'm going to do is cut this a little bit shorter, take a few inches off of this. And other than that, I think this is the system I'm going to use. So that's it for today's test. Yeah, shutting down. See you in the next video.